Delft change you a lot? All the study, the environment, everything?
Yes.
Are you a different person than when you started here?
Well, definitely. Technology is a bit useless if you can't communicate it with people who haven't studied it. And that takes soft skills, getting the knowledge out of the university and moving it to people who are gonna use it in their daily lives in a level that everyone can understand and get the information they need to requires soft skills. And we forget about it a lot. Having direct communication with people outside of it and being able to translate your complex thoughts into something everyone can understand is very, very important.
And is there a computer science, computer engineering look to the world? Is that also changed?
Definitely, because I think that computer scientists and interacting with them, I realized how optimistic everyone is. You know, it's we're a nerdy study, right? We have a really bad reputation objectively. Like, people think we are a bit weird, and the more I also thought that many people were weird at the start, but the more I interacted with them, I realized how much enthusiasm and optimism there is in what we do, which I don't see as much in other studies the more I interact with them. Computer scientists are there because they want to do computer science their whole life. But the moment we started doing classes, I was very intimidated. That was the first thing I remember.
Why?
Because in computer science, especially because it's an international bachelor, you have people from so many educational backgrounds. So the level was so varying. What does that mean? As I mentioned, I come from a country where we didn't have computer science as a subject, right? So even though I was a very, very good student, I had never done this type of things. And then you have people who come from a completely different background, who have already developed their own applications, who have, you know, a lot of professional experience, you know? And I'm there, I'm good at studying, but I have not done this before, I have not done this type of studying. So this was very intimidating at the start, and I did get scared. And for a bit, you know, I was doubting myself, like, am I supposed to be here? A bit of an imposter syndrome. Did I end up here by accident? But the first couple months I studied a lot. I was very determined, and I managed to pass all my courses.
And were you a lot stressful in that beginning?
I was very stressed. There was a lot going on, you know, many deadlines and a very intensive program. But I was also very used to that type of work, so I was very determined to.
You could work well under pressure in that sense.
Exactly. I did prioritize studying over many other social things, let's say. And looking back on what I achieved the past year, it was a very challenging year, full of studying and a very tight schedule. And I realized that, wow, a year ago I had never coded before.
And look now, what I'm doing now.
Now I know around 12 programming languages. I have made this huge project. I have a position to be a teaching assistant for this course that I knew nothing about a year ago. And I've also survived to live alone, move to a new country where I don't speak the language. And that's when I realized that, okay, maybe we're doing pretty well. This is quite impressive, you know? What changed a lot in year 2 is that I became a teaching assistant for many courses. So that, you know, helped me on one side realize that I am good at what I'm doing, and boosted my confidence a lot and helped me move forward.
So that was really a turn for you.
It was a big turn because.
And you applied for? How does it work? You applied?
Yeah, for I applied for it. I thought it was a long shot for many of them. Like, I just, you know, it's just a click of a button, so you don't have to think too much. And then I got acceptance for many positions. So TAing became a thing that was constant in my life. I TA the whole year now. And in year 2, when that started, it really gave me confidence in my study skills, because I realized that if, you know, I was good enough to be able to teach other people now, I'll probably be fine if I continue the same way. So,
what would be your advice be if there is somebody was doubting, shall I go a girl? Would you say go for it or what?
I would definitely say go for it, because what we're trying to do is to be more and to be louder. There's definitely still some discrimination, you know, especially in group projects in year one. And as a teaching assistant, I also see that a lot, how girls are expected to do the report work and guys do the coding, you know? Yeah, but it's real. Like, this thinking that they teach us can get us so many places, and I think that's something I didn't know that before I came here. Like, computer science is a study that really teaches you how to think. We learn less facts, and you're really taught how to program once when you first come here. You know, people expect us to just be learning new languages and stuff, but we really just learn how to think.
That's exactly what somebody else also said.
That's,
you learn how to think.
Yes, it's honestly, I think, something that you can't really know before you come. And I was lucky to like it after I came, but it's definitely a different program than what I expected. Yeah. And yeah, you can see it, you can apply it anywhere afterwards, and that's a great advantage. When I press the run button, that is a moment of fear. It is never a moment of satisfaction. It is never a moment where you think you're done, because you're never done. And you find that out very, very quickly. Something will always go wrong. There will always be an error thrown. And the best part is when that is in an exam setting. You know, at our computer exams, there's this spec test button that you run and see how good your code is. So that is really a moment where you pray for everything to go well, but deep inside you know it's not. And that is fine, because writing a few lines of code really doesn't take that much time. And redoing it is something that is part of the plan, and is something that you will have to do. But accepting that and looking at the time running out in the exam can be
challenging.
Can be a bit challenging, but you eventually get used to it.
So you get also used to a lot of this little
trying again. There's the trial and error thing, for sure. In an exam setting where someone else has planned the project and the structure for you, and all you have to do is write that little piece of code, that is a challenging moment, and you have to try many times.
And you get very, persuasive, or I think you learn a lot from also that process itself.
Yes, exactly. And trying to remain calm, knowing when to stop, balancing costs and risks, because it's not like an open-ended question where you will write some things you know and get some points from here and there. If your code doesn't work, it just doesn't work, you know? And if your code doesn't work, you won't pass the exam. So, you know, really figuring out a middle ground of a code that somewhat works to pass some of the tests is a new challenge that students have to come to learn how to face. So yeah, it's definitely one of the good parts of our degree. It's the exams I feared the most in year one. Yeah. I was terrified of computer exams. Yes, I know, it was awful. It was awful. I definitely noticed that I was the one to take initiative a lot.
So you got your leadership skills more.
Definitely my leadership skills showed in that context. Had I noticed them before? Not necessarily. But again, I do think it comes from that point of confidence and, you know, knowing what we're doing at that point. So I definitely noticed that I was the one to take initiative in organizing things, determining systems and methods. But it was also a great lesson to see that people sometimes won't agree. And when roles aren't clearly defined, as it is in a university setting, because everyone is in one project, they might never agree. So sometimes you may not even reach a conclusion.
Disagree. Yeah.
Exactly. So that was a big difference to what I've done so far. There is a lot to be said about AI, and I think that, you know, for now, anything that is done and is very impressive especially to people without a technical background. And you know, it is actually a very impressive industry, and the capabilities are many. But I think what needs to be communicated more, and what people need to know about AI, is how it is something that humans train. It is something that learns to approximate answers, and it's not directly a source of information, always. It can depend. So I think there needs to be more information to people on how this works exactly, to also balance this, how much people trust it and how much people follow it.
And how much fear maybe can exist around it.
Exactly. Fear doesn't need to exist as long as everyone knows what it is made to be used for. Because take it now with ChatGPT, many people use it the same way as Google. While GPT does know some things, it has information within its training data, but it is mostly the main reason it exists is to formulate human-like answers. So the information is not necessarily always correct, and that is something that many people are not aware of. There's a lot you can do in TU Delft, but at the start, I was very excited. I had done all my research about what there is in TU Delft, but I didn't have the time for it. I definitely did not have the time for it. But later on, after you get used to the study load, there's definitely room for it, and I see it now. After I graduated, I said, yes, now it's time to maybe try the dream team thing that I thought was cool 3 years ago. Yes.
Very nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you.